You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane, pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to Buz Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
What's happening, friends? This is Trevor Phipps from Unearth, and you're listening to Buz Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Buz Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to Buz Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to Buz Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to have Trevor Phipps of Unearth on the podcast, and they will release their 8th studio album entitled WretchedThe Ruinous via Century Media Records on May 5th. Now, this interview will be posted after this album comes out, but the WretchedThe Ruinous is the follow-up to 2018's Extinctions. Also, check out singles The WretchedThe Ruinous and Mother Betrayal, and that's out right now on that new album. So, Trevor, welcome to the podcast. I'm glad to finally have you guys on here.
Happy to be here, man.
Looking back, how special is it to see the band being around for 25 years and still putting out great albums? You guys have been around for a while.
Yeah, 25 years is a long time. We are very happy to be here. We feel very fortunate that we have a career around the world. We've been to 6 continents. We never reached the big time like some bands, but we have a career playing clubs around the world, and it's our fan base is strong. They're passionate and very dedicated to our music, and we're very dedicated to them. And we tour a lot, and we enjoy it very much.
I gotta know this though. Do you ever go back and listen to the band 1999 Above the Fall of Man EP? Do you ever go back and listen to it and go, oh?
Very seldomly. I mean, we were very young and very green with recording back then. So it was a time and a place. It did a lot of great things for us, but we have improved quite drastically since then.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I got to ask this because, and especially for all you young bands out there, when I ask this question, please listen to Trevor's answer because this is where you're going to cut your teeth. How impactful was the early years of full-time touring for this band, especially for the ones out there that say, yeah, I want to do this? How impactful was it for you guys?
Very impactful. You kind of know if you want to do it or not once you tour full-time. And not a lot of bands survive after 2, 3, maybe even 4 years because there's so many ups and downs in this business, and just being on the road and away from home, friends, family, just the comforts of living at home. So you kind of get a taste of it real fast when you tour full time, that if you really want to do it, you really want to travel, and it's not for everyone. And our first drummer, Mike Rudberg, he was part of the Heart and Souls band, and he was on our first 2 EPs and first full-length record. And we're still friends with him, but he realized in 2003 that he just didn't want to tour. And it was heartbreaking for us, but we've rebounded, had a few different drummers since, and we're happy to have Mike Justin back in the band. But touring is not for everybody, so kind of figure it out when you're young if you want to do it, and if you really want to focus on it and make this your career, you kind of have to go full bore and just expect a roller coaster ride, but have fun with all the traveling and playing your music.
So this is the 8th studio album, the WretchedThe Ruinous, set to release tomorrow, May 5th. How excited are you guys to get this album out finally?
Very excited. It's been a long time coming. This is almost 5 years. It's like 4.5 years between records. We took a long time to fine tune this one and make sure it was the best record we could create at this point of our career. Every band's going to think their new record is the best one. We currently feel that way, but time will always tell with that. But we did add some different elements to this record to kind of notch up the dynamic, and I think what that did is it gives the listener a lot more to digest, and also makes the record heavier. It's a pretty pissed off album. It's really heavy, but there's enough melodic elements in it where it just makes the heavier parts seem heavier. So I just think that Buz really, he took a step forward in his songwriting, which allowed me to write, my vocal pattern, the lyrics, and it kind of expand my my craft as well. So it's a record we're very happy with, and we're very, very much looking forward to people hearing it.
Trevor, did you think the band would have 8 albums at this point in the Unearthed music library, or should there have been more albums possibly?
It could have been more, but you don't want to put out a half-ass record. So
yeah.
In our early days, we were on a pace to do, we're doing records every year and after 2 years. And then we realized that we weren't writing songs that we would be happy about, because we had to marry touring with recording. And we didn't want to rush in the studio and put out a record full of half good songs and half mediocre songs.
Yeah.
So we've just kind of taken a step back. And if you look at a bunch of the bands that have been around for a long time, Metallica doesn't put out a record every year. They don't put out a record every 2 years. They put out a record probably every 4 years at this point. Yeah. Because they fine tune it. They take their time to make sure the songs are good, so there's no throwaway songs. And that's one thing that I'm proud of with our whole catalog, is that you can listen to the record start to finish, every single one, and we don't put any filler tracks on there. Whereas some artists might. That's kind of big in the pop scene, where like you'll have a couple singles, then you have some kind of throwaway songs, just kind of B-sides. Whereas we don't do that. We just make sure that every song is a banger, and every song on this record I think could be a single. And it was really hard to actually pick the songs for this record and put them in order. And there's even 2 songs that are recorded that didn't make the record, that if I listen to those songs, they could actually be on the record, but we didn't want to make the record too long. So there's a lot of good material in this one.
So those 2 songs that didn't make it, are they eventually going to be on an album, or just standalone singles maybe?
Might be singles, might be on something later. There's also those 3 other songs that we recorded music to, but not vocals to. There was a lot of material this time, because there was so much time between records. So they might see the light of day on something one day.
But was it difficult, man, to keep that back on the back burner and keep working on this? I mean, was it a little frustrating or no?
It was during the pandemic, so we were not touring. So right. We just Buz sat down. He wrote a bunch of songs, and then he presented them to the band to critique structure, and that's how we've always kind of done it. And once we had the structure figured out, we went to the studio with Will Putney to do pre-pro, and then just time just kind of got eaten up with us in the studio, and then with us, because I didn't finish the vocals on time. We had some delays in the studio, so it took some time to actually finish it, because I had to work around our producer's schedule. So I didn't actually finish the record till June of last year, and then we had delays with artwork, and so there's a lot of delays in it too. So none of this was intentional. There was some delays, but we had to make sure everything was right.
Sure. What's been the most heated discussion the band has had about a song being worked on for an album, or just an album cover that you guys want to strangle each other? I know there's had to be one.
Most heated discussion on a cover was our record "In the Eyes of Fire." The guys from Demon Hunter did that record cover, and if you know the cover, it's a shield, it's a crest, and it originally came over with like a knight's helmet. We didn't like it. It looked out of place to us. It looked forced. We liked the shield and the crest, but Metal Blade loved the helmet. And remember, Brian Slagle, good friend of ours, he got very heated and upset with us that we didn't want to have the helmet on. So it was actually a pretty big fight. He was really upset with us, but we really just didn't want that helmet on there. As far as songs, I think the biggest fights we had were during our record "Darkness and the Light." Just basically fighting about too many melodic vocals on the record. I don't like a metal record with too many melodic vocals, especially of a pop sense. And we had some heated conversations, because there are a couple of songs on that record that have some more pop sounding vocals on there. So there's some raised voices.
So how important was it to incorporate elements of classic Unearthed sound dating back to 2004's breakthrough on this new album, or did it just kind of just fall into place of the classic sound?
I think it just fell into place. Buz took the lead with the writing and the riffs, and he was just inspired to write a great record. I mean, he sat in his bedroom and just would play for 10 hours a day, just write and riff after riff until he got it right. So he really put a lot of time and effort and a lot of his heart and soul into this record. And what came out is what he likes, what he writes. And then, like I said, it allowed me to explore my voice and creativity as well.
Now, you mentioned coming out, during the pandemic, you personally, it was hard trying to find your zone of creativity with writing and things for this album. Would you say though that this is kind of a rebirth of Unearth, if that makes sense, coming out of the pandemic into now with this album?
Yeah, I would say so. We've had some member changes.
Sure. Yeah.
We got our old drummer back, Mike Justin. We have Pete Lehman taking the place of Ken Susi on guitar. First record without Ken. It is a different vibe, but it's one that we are flourishing in. We're feeling great on the road together. We all get along. The band is getting along better on the road than we've ever gotten along. There's something about the chemistry that we have with this group of guys that is making it more enjoyable to tour. And so, you know, if you pay attention to us touring much, we're touring a lot more than we have in recent years because we're really enjoying each other's company, enjoying being out there on the road together, and just playing on stage together.
What led the track for the WretchedThe Ruinous to be the first song released off this album? What was it about that said that's got to go out first, even though it's the title track? But what led it to be the first one to go?
It seems to kind of sum up the whole record. It has the different elements in it. It's got the driving metal. It's got the metallic hardcore elements to it as well. And then it has the kind of chanty melodic vocal at the end. So it kind of gives you a taste of what the whole record is about. Each song offers something different. This one kind of sums up the whole record. And it's a catchy song too. And we had people at Century Media really encourage us to make that the first single as well.
Was there a track for the album that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to when it was done?
Yes. The song Broken Arrow, I believe it's track 10. When we had 16 songs to start to go into the studio to pre-pro with, and that was basically everyone's 16th favorite song. So it was like last. Thought it was just gonna be cut. And once I put vocals on it, it changed the whole song completely. It turned it into a song that people wanted to hear. They wanted to put it on the record. It's a different song for us. There's definitely more of a southern rock vibe to it. There's definitely some. The chorus came to me a few days after Everytime I Die broke up, and they are some of our best friends. You know, growing up, we'd always tour with them and share a bus in Europe and the USA, and we started around the same time. They're all around the same age as us, and so it was pretty impactful when they broke up. And for some reason, I was just sitting in my studio, listening to that song, trying to write lyrics, and I was kind of emotionally invested in the fact that Everytime I Die broke up. I was pretty bummed. And then that chorus came to me, and you can kind of hear the influence that kind of does sound like Everytime I Die. It's not a copycat by any means, but it's definitely inspired by them. And it just came to me out of the blue. So I think it really tied that song together.
Kind of like paying an homage to them. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I know these are your babies. I understand that. But are there any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this album?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Mother Betrayal. I think that's one of the strongest songs we've ever written. But I like them all. I still spin this record, and it's been done for me since last June.
Yeah.
So it's I still listen to it, and I still enjoy every song. But Mother Betrayal is my favorite one. I like Eradicator quite a bit. Broken Arrow a lot. What else? Call of Existence is a different track for us as well. Yeah, it was a fun record to sing. And
you know, when you got a good record, when you haven't released it yet and you're still pumping it and listening to it and you're not sick of it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So you have to be a fan of your own music.
Yeah.
And I'm staying a fan of this one. It's still in rotation.
How important is a track listing placement on this album for you guys?
It's always very important. You want the songs to flow into each other, and you want it to give the listener a break, because there's a lot of songs that are really unrelentingly heavy, and so then you want to follow up with a song that might be a bit more melodic, and then come back with the heavy one, so the record flows better. And that's why we placed Aniyara where we did, because that is the acoustic interlude. It kind of breaks up the record a bit, and it does have a very similar riff in it that in the song after it, Into the Abyss. So it does kind of tie together. So the video, actually, they're combined in the video. So that stuff is very important, and I think that we've always kind of tried to focus on that. And I think the only record when we didn't do any of that was our record, Watches of Rule, and I think that was the only real criticism I would see, is that it was too brutal on the senses. You know, you couldn't listen to the whole record all at once, because it was so fast paced and progressive and heavy that your ears needed a break. And so I think these interludes or just melodic songs in the middle of the record kind of do help break things up.
Look, I know you guys have been around for 25 years, but you personally, what's the growth musically that you've seen in yourself that's got better, say like in the last 10 years, what's gotten better that kind of shocked you?
My voice, my range is increasing. I thought that maybe I'd hit a peak, that was my voice. And then I just kept on training and focusing on my craft. And my gutturals are deeper. And especially on this record, I'm reaching highs I've never hit in my life. I'm 45 years old now, and I'm still improving what I do. And I'm adding clean vocals, not puppy cleans, but I'm adding, I'm trying to give us a different dynamic and different flavors vocally to the listener. And I'm really enjoying the fact that my voice is improving.
Do you think the band has hit its stride as sound wise, or you guys just still scratching that surface after 25 years?
We're still trying to get better. And I think that this record shows it. And I'm excited to see what the future brings, what we come up with next. But we're going to be hitting the road hard on this one. I know the Buz always has riffs, and now we have Peter in the mix, and he's a really prolific writer. He was almost in the band in 2005, and one of the reasons why he was almost in the band back then was because he was such a great writer. And Buz had a union job. He was going to leave the band back then, but we were doing so well. He didn't end up leaving on Earth. He left his union job. But Peter was on deck to replace Buz way back then. And it's funny enough now he replaces Ken, but he's a great songwriter as well.
You guys teamed up again with producer of Extinction's Will Putney.
Yep.
How's it working with Will? Because I know he's worked on a lot of albums. Does he just get you guys, or does he get something out of you guys that somebody else may not get?
He gets us, man. He says he's a fan of our material. He knows our band inside and out. He knows our strengths, and he knows when we can do better. And that was the thing. Like, he was a great coach, especially a vocal coach. And he's not a vocalist, but he knew when I could do better as a lyricist and as a vocalist. Mm-hmm. And I thought I would have something pretty good. He'd be like, "You can do better than that." And I get frustrated, but then I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna listen to you. And I go back and rewrite it. And so he just brings the best out of us.
And there's a reason why you see him, slated as producer on many albums, because he knows what he's doing, and he's producing heavy, freaking good albums, man.
He does his homework, and he's very good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And we enjoy working with him very much, and we hope to work with him many more times.
So what's been your most memorable show that Unearth has been a part of that you still can't believe to this day that you guys have been part of?
Our biggest show ever, we played Download in the UK in 2010. We're on main stage. It was the biggest crowd we ever played to. I think they estimated 60,000 people were watching us.
Wow.
It was pretty surreal. I do the fist in the air, and like all 60,000 were doing the fist in the air, and the circle pit was the size of the football field, and it was pretty unreal to see and be part of. And I remember my adrenaline was through the roof on that show, and my heart was pumping pretty heavily.
So when that happened, man, did that bring you back to your infancy of when you wanted to become a musician, to everything worthwhile at that moment? Did that meet every expectation that you thought of?
I've had a lot of moments like that, even in small club shows when the crowd is really in touch with you. Sometimes I get lost in it, and the hairs stand up on your arms, you get the chills. You just feel the energy and the vibe with the audience and the songs that you've written with your friends, and you're playing for people that are enjoying it. And there's not many feelings that can match that.
Very true, my friend. Very true. This is my last question for you, and this is my $1 million question, as I say. And we're just going to throw Unearth out the window for right now. If you could be a member of an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, what band would it be, and what show possibly, Trevor?
My favorite live show that I've ever seen that I was not in attendance at was, which was one of the reasons why I really strove to be in a band, was when Pantera played in Moscow. I think it was the Monsters of Rock Festival in 1991 or 2. They were one of the openers, and they were just on fire. Just how much energy they had, and especially when they played Domination, there was something about that. It's like, man, this is the best. This is the best thing of all time. How can it be better than this? And it really inspired me to push forward to be a singer in a band.
I've always said, man, for the people who got to see Pantera, you're very lucky, and I was one of those people who are very lucky to get to see the original lineup. And if you got to see them and it didn't put chills up on you, there's something wrong with you.
I saw them every time they came through. Even so, I was too young the first time through in Boston. They came through with Suicidal Tendencies and Exodus, the Headbangers Ball tour.
Oh, wow.
They played a 16-plus room. I think I was 13. But then a couple years later, or a year later, they came through with Skid Row as an opener before Vulgar came out, and that was killer. I got a Diamond Darrow pick. I got 2 of them. And I saw them every tour after that. And I missed them their last time they came through Boston, or Massachusetts, I should say, because we were on tour 2001. We were on our first nationwide tour, so I unfortunately missed them. But 3 years later, we got the tour with Damage Plan, and got to hang with Diamond Vinny, who are our heroes. And so that was a special tour for us.
And I've said this a million times, if this reunion, well, not a reunion, but if this tribute shows that they've been doing gives Rex and Phil, closure, then let them be. I mean, this is something that they created. This is their closure with it. If that's what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, the Diamond Vinny estates, that the families are okay with it. So
yeah.
why should anyone else have an opinion? So these guys created this music. Those are their brothers. They're unfortunately gone.
Yep.
And it's wonderful that the world gets to see these songs live.
All right, folks. Unearth will release their 8th studio album entitled The Wretched, The Ruinous via Century Media Records on May 5th. You definitely want to get out and pick that up and pick up their other stuff too, because I'm telling you right now, Unearth is a very, very talented, heavy, awesome band. I really like them. And Trevor, how can folks stay in touch with you guys by this new album coming out? How can they do that, sir?
It's going to be on every streaming outlet that's out there. You can go to our website, unearthofficial.com. All sorts of pre-orders there. And if you go to any of our social media, whichever one you have, or you have many, they're all going to be Unearth Official. And then there's going to be a link in the bio that's going to take you different ways. You can pre-order different variants of vinyls, or just streaming networks, or even just the CD. So it should be readily available out there. Unearth Official.
And when this interview drops, I'll have all the links down here in the description, so that way you can still go pick it up. And I'm telling you guys, go pick it up. Trevor, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Of course. What's happening, friends? This is Trevor Phipps from Unearth, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out, check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link, and you definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube link if you like what I'm bringing to you guys, and I hope you guys do. Unearth will release their 8th studio album entitled The Wretched, The Ruinous on Century Media Records on May 5th. So you want to pick that up. So Trevor, thank you so much. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck and have a good tour, my friend.
Appreciate you, bud. Thank you, man.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.